This week in the tasting lineup, we have 4 diverse expressions of Pinot Noir, and pizza goes with all of them. So today we're gonna make a pizza dough from scratch. I'll show you how to roll it out into balls, and then we'll make a red pizza with tomato sauce, Calabrian chili, and guanciale, and a white pizza with kale from the garden and some oregano. So to make our dough, we are gonna start with a teaspoon of sugar, a cup and a half of water, and then a teaspoon and a half of yeast that will just sprinkle over the top. Now we're gonna add 2 teaspoons of olive oil and 4 cups of flour, and then 1 tablespoon of salt. And I'm gonna put that right on top of the flour. Salt will kill yeast, so you wanna make sure you don't get like too much contact there. Put this in our mixer here. Use our dough hook for this. And we're gonna mix it for just a few minutes to bring it together and then let it rest. So this has been mixing for about a minute, and you can see it's still kind of like scraggly, but most of the flour is incorporated. We're gonna let this rest for 5 minutes at this point and let the gluten relax, and then we're gonna click it back on and let it knead for about 8 minutes. If you don't have a mixer, you can do this all by hand. I'd probably just use a spoon to bring it all together initially, and then just use your hands and knead probably for like 10 minutes. Okay, so now we will turn this on and let it knead for 8-ish minutes. And you can just kind of forget about it while this is happening. Okay, so we are gonna oil our bowl. Just sprinkle a little olive oil in there. And get our dough out of here. I'm gonna dust some flour on my fingers just so it doesn't get too sticky. It's a little sticky, but that's okay. Okay, so at this point, we're gonna cover this in plastic and put it in the fridge overnight. And then we'll pull it out 3 hours before we wanna use it. We'll let it sit at room temperature for about an hour, so it tempers. Do the shaping, and then let it rest for another hour and a half before we're gonna use it. That's the whole process. Okay, so I pulled this dough out of the refrigerator about an hour ago. So now we're gonna roll it out. I'm gonna lightly flour the counter. Pour this out onto the board. Now we're gonna cut this into 4 even-sized pieces. So I'm going around in a circle and like pushing down with the outside edges of my hand. I can feel it like springing back in my hands, and it's getting pretty smooth. So I think this one's just about done. There's like a fine line between too much flour and not enough flour on the board. You want it to stick slightly, and that'll, I'm gonna flour my hands slightly more. That kind of helps with the kneading, pulling it. And if it's too floury, it'll just slide around and not have any traction. You can see it's, when you're pushing it like that, it's kind of like kneading on the bottom, like coming together. So we'll toss this in some flour and lightly flour our sheet tray and throw these on here to rise for about an hour and a half, 2 hours. We're gonna make a red and a white pizza. For the white pizza, I wanna do some kale. So to prep the kale, we're just gonna strip it off its stems. I have some mozzarella that we can tear up, olives here that are pitted. We have some chilies, dried chilies from our garden that I ground up, some dried oregano. We're gonna do some spring onion. The last thing we're gonna prep is a little garlic oil. You can also just chop it if you want. I'll just cover this with a few tablespoons of olive oil. This is also good on any pizza. So our dough is just about ready. So this is one, if you have a pizza peel, you'd want to use that. I have this round flat tray. So I'm gonna build the pizzas on here. I've also used the back side of a sheet tray. You just really want to make sure it's well floured. Actually, let's talk about what you're gonna bake the pizza on. In the oven here, I have a pizza stone. If you don't have a pizza stone, a large cast iron is just as good. So we're gonna start by forming our crust. You can make a thinner or a thicker crust, but just always know you wanna try to save room there for that. Now we push down in the middle and rotate. And then I'm gonna pick it up. So to stretch this dough, you're gonna let gravity do most of the work, and you use your thumb and pointer to just hold on to like right where you push down for the crust. And now you're just spinning and stretching it a little bit more. And this is just about ready. If you do get a hole, you can just pinch it back together with your fingers. Okay, so we wanna make sure that this is really well dusted because we're gonna slide it off like that onto our stone. I always prefer a red pizza, so tomato sauce with mozzarella, Calabrian chili, and guanciale. You can also use pancetta or bacon. This is from our friend John, who has Canteen Meats. It's delicious. Okay, this one is ready for the oven. I might give it a little drizzle of olive oil, actually. We'll let that cook for 5 minutes, turn the fan on, and give it an extra minute to crisp up. Hey! Oh, it looks so good. We can kind of see, like look under on the crust. A little bit of color, fully set. The best part of a pizza party is that you just get to eat them as they roll out. Look at that nice integrity of the bottom crust. I love the Calabrian chili. It's like the perfect amount of heat. It's a good one. For this one, we're gonna make our white pizza. So I'm gonna sprinkle on some spring onions, drizzle on some of this garlic oil. Now we'll sprinkle some kale on here. And we'll throw some chili flakes in here too. These are pretty spicy. And now olives. Okay, we'll give it a little shake, make sure it's not stuck before we get into the oven. Cute. That looks so good. It smells so good. And then we'll top it with some fresh Parmesan and dried oregano. Get some fresh parm. Okay. It smells seriously so delicious. Nice crust. It's so good. It's great. I like the oregano, like gives some earthiness. And the salty olive, crunchy kale. Yum. It's a good pie.